Hello, so this video is going to focus on Theosophy and its American origin, but in a more theoretical political science way. And then I'm going to jump into India, because the Theosophical Society is very connected to the founding of India, even though the society was founded in the United States in 1875. Its organization jumped to find a sister organization in India. So in many ways, the Theosophical Society is half United States and half India, even though it's basically in every single nation. There's some people at some point in time had interest in theosophy. That's why there's theosophical societies, but for the most part, the Theosophical Society is an institution that is lacking. It's lacking in its prosperity because it sends off geniuses to do their work and influence the world, while the organization itself is just a resting place, a little nest to launch yourself. At least that's how I view it. I wish that I could paint a pretty picture about it and just say that it's just so lovely. But it's so much more. It's so much more sophisticated than that. That's why I am doing a respect to it, by diving into an area that is so dark and so hidden and so difficult to talk about. But isn't that what the Theosophical Society is all about anyway? So I'm here to refocus us and see that I am so much an asset, not just to theosophical knowledge, but to world knowledge. That I am not afraid to show the darker corridors of theosophy, while always maintaining the respect from which it is true. Because we are a product of theosophy, and to reject it entirely is to reject yourself. So allow me to read in the American context how theosophy became of the lesser known path, but of tremendous influence. Theosophy may be read less as a religion and more as a tone of governance, a quiet metaphysical relationship with yourself that internalizes a mode of leadership, that assumes that you play a role in humanity, in shaping its form and direction, upward, onward, outward, towards greater heights and beyond, harnessing greater awareness for yourself and for all. Progress in this view is uneven. Some awaken earlier, see further, carry a responsibility that others do not feel. From this premise emerges a subtle hierarchy, not of blood or law, but of consciousness. Leadership is justified by force, only in the sense that it is metaphysical. It is popular will alone that leads the democracy, but it is the enlightened few who guide its direction. This idea fits in the United States with surprising ease, as shocking as it may be. America was already imagined itself as a nation led by visionaries, reformers, and moral pioneers. Theosophical thinking did not overthrow American democracy. It refined it, spiritualized it, and gave it inner logic. The enlightened few, the so-called educators, reformers, thinkers, and organizers, were not rulers in name only, but were guides in fact. They would not command, but rather they would set the way. Institutions throughout the society would carry their values forward long after the leaders passed on, enabling insight into structure, into a structure that would have a lasting permanence, through which more enlightened leaders will sprout. Within this framework, feminism found fertile ground. Theosophy opened itself to women as bearers of wisdom, aligned with an emerging American belief that moral authority did not belong solely to men. Women could be teachers of humanity as well. They could be guardians of ethical progress, voices of intuition, against a mechanical, structured world. They can be a voice for liberation where it is sought. They could awaken the entire humanity by evoking our compassion that seeing if we were in their shoes, we would also want to be free. In this way, the Theosophical Society is so relevant to women's suffrage, truly, that it needs to be taught in that regard in all the school books. Without the Theosophical Society, women would not have the right to vote. It's a simple fact. But we shouldn't hide it. We shouldn't hide it just because of the difficult reality of not knowing about it, or the difficult reality of not being able to talk about it because of the difficult aspects of theosophy. It is truly a realization that it was here the entire time, that it was the vehicle for liberation. And it's through this liberation that we arrive to the present moment. This logic extends naturally into our society's progression, to reform more broadly in regards to education, prisons, labor rights, social welfare. We must reimagine the entire system. We must view that the old ways cannot continue if they were part of a system, a deep state that exploited us in a way that we didn't know what was going on. So that's to say, we should wipe away the debt. We don't owe anything. There is no national debt. If we truly view ourselves as being robbed, we can reset and rewrite the page. We can truly take our destiny into our own hands as American citizens. We can stand with our brave president and see that he is truly uplifting the American vision against this deep state structure that's been here the entire time, for both good and bad. So let us see that this logic of the Theosophical Enlightenment as being part of the system and the status quo, it is the same hierarchy that enabled the liberation that allowed us to be more free, but it is also the same hierarchy that preserved the older order in more subtler ways. It is from here that we see the enlightened few that misguided us allowed us to stay entrenched in our blindness. In practice, this distinction of those who abused the Theosophical order and those who simply did not know about it is blurred. We see that the existing lines in our American society are no longer defined by class, education, race, gender, sexuality, etc. We have to view ourselves as one humanity, as one. We will always have differences. We will always have similarities. But it is in this moment that we see that we are truly all equal under the law. The American Theosophical movement is the globalist movement. And it's not to point fingers and it's not to point shame, because we have powerful global institutions, but we cannot allow them to be abused. For example, we cannot have the jurisdiction of Iran sitting on the Human Rights Council delegating what is human rights when they kill women for showing their hair. That, to me, is the absurdity of the reality. And therefore, those global institutions will be reformed under the guidance of our brave president, because he takes the authority to realize the situation, to see that there was a deep state the entire time, that the globalists were the enlightened leaders who were supposed to free us, but instead they kept the chains. It is from here synarchy enters, the political concept of the enlightened few ruling over the all, everyone. It is not a conspiracy, but it is a pattern. Power finds its way. Power flows through networks rather than crowds. It often finds its ways in foundations. It is like a ballet in which the dancer is on the center stage while there is no audience at all. But we must not be deceived, because decision-making was concentrated among those who believed they were understood, that deeper currents do impact history. Democracy remained intact, but in form. Its direction was shaped elsewhere, in hidden circles, that prized secret continuity over disruption of the existing social order, that always those who sought wisdom were within the highest thrones of power. The people who were dedicated to be educated improved and raised themselves, and they became fully entrusted. But they left us behind. Thus, Theosophy in America carries a double-sword legacy. It inspired a politics of compassion, while leaving so many behind. It called for inclusion, while excluding others based on race. It called for reform, liberating women, but those women took our alcohol away. It helped to raise modern social movements, but those movements also went too far. Seeing that Theosophy is not necessarily part of a politics of liberation, but rather a politics of unlocking hidden leaders. Hidden leaders, right, left, and center. For Theosophy is not so simple that it can be painted as liberal or conservative, as moderate or radical. For Theosophy is wisdom's way. It is a way of wisdom using its capabilities to achieve its most maximum potential. For wisdom will find its way in voices that yearn to speak it. In that way, Theosophy is those who speak truth to power as well. It is the voice of the man who stands up. Thank you.